Oh, hi guys, my name is Truno Nyango. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about mathematical problem, and one of them is Thompson's lamp paradox. And in combination we'll try to solve a 2500 years old mathematical problem of antiquity, which is the Zeno'S paradox. Guys, we'll begin on Thompson's lamp paradox, where we'll say, Thompson states that if the first event in a bulb, which let's say the bulb will be on denoted as 1, takes 1 second, then what will be the state of the bulb after a summation of 2 seconds? Will the bulb be on or off? And according to the current mathematical solution, it says that the bulb will on or off, or rather we are not sure whether the bulb will be on or the bulb will be off. But today I'll present to you a positive solution in that with a definite time frame where the bulb will be on throughout, and this will happen before it reaches even the 2 seconds. So basically you find that according to Thompson's, if the events are, we have two events in this case. We have the bulb which is on, which is denoted as 1, and the bulb being off, denoted as 0. And this one is being controlled by a switch, because we know that when the bulb is on, the switch is off, and when the switch is on, the bulb is off. So you find that according to when we do a summation, whereby 1 here we are talking about the duration of the first event, and you know that the first event is the bulb is on. If the first event the bulb is on is 1 second, then from the rules the second event should be half the previous event, so it means there will be half a second. So it means the bulb will be off for half a second, the bulb will be on for a quarter second, the bulb will be this was on off will be off for an 8th, the bulb will be on for a 16th, and in that successive manner. So according to that, if you do this, it will reach a point whereby we'll have an infinite nth number, and when we do the summation of all these durations, we will be approaching 2 seconds, but we'll never reach 2. But according to the paradox, Thompson's is so much specific on the state of the bulb at 2. So this is why I'll present you with a positive solution according to on how to handle this paradox. So you find that with the paradox we can create some model of representation. Since we had said that 1 means on, you find that the duration of 1, the duration taken on the bulb is on is 1 t, or rather t, we can use seconds in this case. Then when it's off, it's half a t. When it's on is a quarter a t, and when it's off is an 8th, and when it's on is a 16th, in that successive progressive situation. So we'll note one thing that we'll note at the end of it is that the rate of change of the event is increasing, in that you find that the duration that was taken for the first event will be more time is taken in the first event compared to the successive event. So you find that this one is half the duration of this one, half that. And with that, it means one thing that we'll notice from that point is that the rate of change of the event will be increasing. It means the events are occurring at a relatively shorter time compared to the previous one. Okay, so now based on that, you find that the bulb, these are two different events, but they are successive events. So as we have said, the bulb will be on, off, on, off in that manner. So they are being controlled by a switch. So you find that there's this switch that takes half seconds and 8 seconds, 32, 1/32 of a second in that progressive manner. So if you do it on a real-time basis, let's say in reality, if let's say there's a human constantly switching putting on the switch and putting it off, you'll find that based on our human perspective, it will reach a point whereby the flips per second of the switch shall have increased until to reach a point whereby humanly we can only see the room as full of light. Why am I saying so? Because you find that when the flips are increasing, what we can only see will be the light being on, but we can't actually, when that rate of change is so fast, the only thing that we can observe is that the light is on, and we can no longer see that the other event. We can no longer see the other event, which is the bulb being off by the switch being closed. So it will reach a point whereby we as humans, the only thing we can observe is the room will be full of light. But this one is based on our human incapabilities. We know that we as humans, we are kind of limited, especially with our flips per second of our based on our eye, we are limited on our flips per second. Now the question goes, what will be the quantitative basis of having an absolute switch that can easily determine at what point will we say that the room will be full of light, and what is this absolute switch that can constantly determine the constant rate of change of this event at a point whereby we can no longer have any change of event. So based on that, we can now talk about basically the concept that I'm trying to bring about is we can solve this Thompson's paradox using what we can call absolute switch, or rather we can as well call it true switch. So in this case, what do we say about at this point? When this rate of change keeps on increasing, you find that it will keep on increasing until the switch shall have assumed the properties of light. What am I saying by switch assuming the properties of light? We can demonstrate it using an example. Assume we have a photon tube and we have photons, a beam of light passing through, then there's an observer at this other end. Then we know that the light moves at a constant speed, which is 299, 792, 458 meters per second. We know that no event can occur above this, and so no time can occur above this. So how will we quantitatively say? We know that for a beam of light, it's the photons that are producing the light, and in between the photons, our assumptions in this, our concept is we have photons are moving in a linear direction and with a constant speed. So to mean that in between photon 1 and photon 2 there's a specific distance, and this distance we could assume that this will be the rate of change of our switch. So if we have an absolute switch which operates at that rate of which a photon can change its position to the next position, then we'll call that the absolute switch, above which no event can occur above that rate. And from our theoretical physics knowledge, we know that the speed of light is 299, 792 and 458 meters per second, meaning that the rate of change of one photon from one photon to the next position of the other photon will be this. So with that, it means there will be, based on in relation to this, if we relate this to Thompson's lamp paradox, it means the successive flow of events, we know that it started from 1 second, then off was a half a second, then on was a quarter second, then off was an eighth. When we reach a point whereby the off part of it will be this of a second, then we know that above that we already have our absolute switch. And all this is a property of light, because we have seen this is a beam of rays where we have photons moving in a linear direction, and know that a beam of rays is purely light. And so theoretically we will say that this one is a miniature switch which is falling within the lights, but because this is light, we will always be seeing light. So based on that same knowledge, we can easily say that when we reach our absolute rate of change, so this is our absolute rate of change. When we reach this absolute rate of change, we'll achieve it before. When we reach this absolute rate of change, then when we had the summation of all the successive rates of change, you'll find that it's below 2 seconds. So we can easily say that Thompson's lamp paradox will be on when the rate of change of the event will be at this. When the rate of change is at this point, Thompson's lamp paradox will be on, because what we say is that the switch itself has already assumed the properties of light, and we will no longer be seeing the other event, which was bulb being off. The only event we'll be having here is the bulb being throughout on. Okay, now so in conclusion, this is a positive solution to Thompson's lamp paradox, in that the bulb will be on when the rate of change of the event will be this per second. So thereby we know that this is the rate at which also is the rate of change of the speed of light. So we know that no event can occur above the speed of light. So there's no time that can be recorded. So we can also say that this the reason why we are concluding so is that the switch, our absolute switch, shall have assumed the properties of light, and this one will occur before the Thompson's question, which is the state of the bulb at 2 seconds. We can see here, this is the summation of the event, the summation of the duration of events. The first one was at 1 second, a half, a quarter, an eighth, on, off in that manner. So when we reach the rate which will be at this point, when this rate, you'll find that when you do this summation in that cumulative manner, it will never reached 2 seconds, and we know that there's no event that can occur above this rate. So what am I saying? Above this rate, no event can occur. There's no time above this rate, based from our theoretical physics knowledge. So this summation is below 2 seconds. So Thompson's, the current norm that is there, that the bulb will neither be on or off, or rather the bulb will be on and off at the same time, doesn't work, because one, we shall never have reached the summation of 2 seconds, and we already have a positive solution in that the bulb will be on at this exact rate, and there's no event that can occur above this rate. So there's no event, which means there'll be no bulb switching on and off above this rate. So just to recapture on that, then this solution, or rather this concept, can be applied same on Zeno'S paradox, because we also know about the Zeno'S paradox, whereby we have Achilles chasing after the tortoise, and there's a successive increasing rate of change. So based on that same knowledge, we'll find that Achilles will never, the solution to Zeno'S paradox based on the same concept, it's purely the same concept. You find that Achilles will never catch up with the tortoise when his rate of change of event will be at this same rate of change here. So at this point, above this, at this point you'll find that the tortoise will slightly be ahead, yes, but this is the Achilles rate of change, and no event can occur above this. So it means there'll be no time, so we cannot capture any event above this.